and welcome to the B.A.S S, Big and Small Screens. This week, this week I'm reviewing or taking a look at Live, Die, Repeat, otherwise known as Edge of Tomorrow, the Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt movie, all based off of All You Need Is Kill by Hiroshi Sakurazaka, which I covered over on You Should Be Reading this week. Uh, this particular movie is basically all about a Major William Cage who used to be an advertising executive um, before he got drafted into the army, and he basically is uh, doing a lot of PR work. He's selling the war and selling the basically everybody to join up to the war in these the power suits, the jackets that they have, and he ends up. The movie basically starts with him showing up, and the general basically having gone over his head and drafted him because he wants him to be on the front lines to ensure that any possible fallout of this suicidal battle plan isn't going to fall on his head. So he's basically using him. He tries to blackmail the general to get out of it and ends up tased, arrested, and thrown onto the base as a private uh, who is classified as a deserter. So right off the bat, they're doing something completely different than the book, and the movie plays out very differently. All the basic parts are still there. There's still a mimic invasion. There's still these people in power armor jackets. Um, Although the jackets, I believe, are a little different. They're more like uh, armor that kind of straps around them that they walk with instead of them being completely ensconced in it, like the book seems to say it is. So that's kind of interesting and new. Um, there's still Rita Vertasky, the Angel of Verdun, the Full Metal Bitch. She is still in it, and she is still, the one who saved the world. Someone with minimal training who ended up killing hundreds of mimics in her first battle. That's still the same. And he ends up getting into battle, killing one of these mimics that looks a little different than the usual ones, and ends up repeating the same day over and over and over again. And he decides that he finally ends up trying to save the Full Metal Bitch because he sees her end up dying. And she realizes what's going on and basically says, "Come see me when you wake up." So he does, and it goes from there as they try and figure out how to do things. Now, the really interesting thing is how this plays out compared to the book. Because in the movie, they've gone and changed it that there's three levels of mimics. Instead of only the two that there were before, you've got the grunts, you've got the alphas, which is what he killed, and then you've got the omega, which is controlling it all. And the omega is the one that is resetting time. Only because of the particular circumstances that Mr. Cage here finds himself in, uh, he ends up he ends up kind of stealing the power from the Omega Mimic, so that he's reliving the same day over and over again, even though they don't, even though the mimic wants it back, the Omega Mimic trying to find him. So there's a little bit of a byplay like that going on. And it moves on from there. Now, the thing that I really liked about this movie compared to the book. Now, I love the book. The book is its own entity. The book definitely has a more how to put this. It has a more dark uh, by thread running through the book. Um, the horrors of war and everything, and the fact that uh, spoiler alert for those who didn't read the book or watch the movie. Spoiler alert. Okay. Now, the book kind of ends with Rita Vertasky dying because she's become an antenna that the mimics have a few antennas with like backups that they back up the information on. You got to kill all of them before you kill the main mimic. That's the server that's causing the reset to happen. Well, she's become one, so either she dies or he dies. Mr. Keiji Kiraya there from the book. In this, however, things play out a little differently. The book ends on a note with uh, basically Keiji Kiraya there, who they've nicknamed Killer Cage, hence why he's called William Cage. Mm-hmm. Um, it kind of ends with him promising that he's going to end this war for Rita. He's going to go out and do whatever he has to end the war. He's very battle scarred veteran, uh, very closed off emotionally at the end of the book. Um, the movie, however, ends a little differently. It almost kind of becomes a little bit. It gets to that point where you see over the course of the movie, you see Tom Cruise's character. You see him literally go from somebody who is not a soldier, who is not cut out for this. You see that progression in his personality, uh, where he gets harder and harder, where he's closing himself off more and more. And then he starts opening up all of a sudden. And then you find out the reason why is because he's lived through this so many times and he's seen Rita die so many times, he doesn't want that to happen. He's like, there's no way that I can get you alive going forward. There's no way. And she, of course, tries to, she doesn't really believe him, even though she does. She still is like, this is what we have to do. This is what we signed up for. We're soldiers. And because she dies again, he decides, nope, not going to happen, and goes it alone. Tries to kill the Omega. It doesn't work. Omega's not really there. They have to do something else to try and find the Omega. And from that point on, things change because he loses the power. Just like Rita lost that power because ended up getting unconscious, not enough to be killed, but they gave him a blood transfusion, and that's where the power resided in the blood. Transfuse out that blood, doesn't have the power anymore. Uh, so he can't relive the day anymore. They still all go charging into battle to try and kill the Omega. The Omega's dead. Huzzah. The day is saved. But everybody on that unit, everybody who went in, Rita, uh, all the kind of comedy relief characters in the movie, and Tom Cruise, all dead. But he ends up getting covered with the Omega's blood before he dies, and then he wakes up at the beginning of the movie. You find out that all the mimics are now seemingly unable to attack the way they have been. They're not as coordinated anymore. Things are all crazy and strange. And the war is going to be won now. It's a very hopeful end to the movie. And you end up seeing Tom Cruise, still as a major, going by the base where everybody that he's seen dead so many times is still alive. And he sees Rita Fertasky again, and she acts like she doesn't even know him. And he's got tears in his eyes, and the movie cuts to credits. Now, I like it. I like that because they've gone and taken the same basic premise that was in the book and changed it, kept pretty much all the basic parts the same, told a story that was similar, almost parallel in a way, to the story from the book. Yet instead of ending on a kind of um, a Pyrrhic victory, is kind of how the book ends. Instead of ending on that kind of a note, where it's very much, where it's very, very hard-won victory that you're like, did we really win? Is the cost worth it? Um, and him, Keiji Kiraya there in the book being very, very bitter and very much like, I will do whatever it takes to win, to the ending of the movie where William Cage is like overcome with emotion because everybody's still alive. The enemy is practically on the verge of defeat now because of his actions, and yet humanity is still saved, and there's not this huge casualty. It's not a Pyrrhic victory. It's like they went through the fire. It's like Bill Paxton with Sergeant Farrell in the movie. He says that the only true heroes are forged in the crucible of war and come out reborn in victory and glory and et cetera, et cetera. He has this whole speech. You hear it quite a few times. Uh, they kind of took that to heart in a way and emphasized it with how the movie ended, because he went through the fire and the crucible of war and came out a new man with a new understanding. Because really and truthfully, in the beginning, Tom Cruise's character was not likable at all. He was a bit of an ass, and you could tell he was a bit of an ass. They made it a point to kind of almost make him to be um, a cowardly asshole who didn't want to get himself put himself in harm's way at all. Um, and they played that up a lot, which helped for that whole character arc for him in the movie. Uh, so yes, I really liked this movie. I hope those of you who have seen it agree with me. Those of you who haven't seen it, I hope you left when I did the spoiler alert, because if you didn't, I can't really say I didn't warn you, because it did. But regardless, yeah, Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, whatever it's called. There's been a couple of names, I guess. I don't know why they changed it. Possibly licensing agreement, possibly something else. Not entirely sure, but still, you should check it out. It is a good movie, well worth your time, well paced, only about 2 hours long, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Tom Cruise's acting. He's been in a few things that I've liked, a few things that I've seen that I'm just like, I'm not even going to bother seeing that. Emily Blunt, haven't seen her in too much, but she was pretty good in this. I quite liked her. And all of the other supporting cast, spot on. Spot on. So that's about it for this week. As always, if you like what I'm doing, please give that like button a tap. Give that subscribe button a tap as well if you haven't already, so you can be kept apprised of when I put out new videos. Usually something in a week. I try and put out 1 or 2 videos per week. And throw a comment in the comment section. Did you like Edge of Tomorrow / Live, Die, Repeat? Uh, have you seen the movie? What do you think of it compared to the book? Let's get a discussion going. I'd like to talk to some people. Uh, so that's about it. And until next time, check out Live, Die, Repeat / Edge of Tomorrow. It's well worth your time. And I'll see you next time.